I just don't really get it. I just don't really understand what's going on right now at the moment with us as a fan base. Good evening. Welcome to the Gooner Talk. I wanted to jump on today and just have a basically talk to you, talk at you a little bit maybe. So I hope you're listening. Sorry if there's not too much in terms of interaction with the chat box. I'm sure there'll be some throughout. But I just want to put my thoughts and feelings across on the situation that we find ourselves in as Arsenal fans in this current climate of being a fan. And I think it's horrific. I think it's absolutely despicable what I've seen on social media today, this week, this past couple of years. But it's really sort of hit me today to sort of put a video out and say that a lot of these people are absolutely pathetic. To be bashing someone and saying some horrible things, and less so, and still as equally pathetic in my opinion, that you can look at someone who's not even become manager, not even become head coach. He's not going to be manager, he's going to be head coach if all things go through with Arteta. And people can sit there and say they aren't going to back him. I can't back this person, I don't like him. Who cares? Who cares if you don't like him? Like, I don't understand this sort of climate that people are in, and I know this might come a little bit hypocritical because I'm making a video that's slightly provocative, maybe, and it comes across as maybe just being a little bit ranty, but it just seems that it's fashionable for people to put videos out or to put tweets out and just say that they don't like someone, or they're insulting the guy, that they aren't going to back him, they aren't going to support him, just because they don't like him, just because he's not the person that they wanted. Let me just remind people what we are. We're fans. We're Arsenal fans. The world does not revolve around us. The world is not this little place where we're able to say things and everyone should take notice and everyone should listen, because all I'm doing right now is just voicing an opinion. Now, it doesn't bother me whether 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people watch or listen to this. I just care that I'm able to put my view out. But in my view, I think that it is absolutely ridiculous that people would decide to come out and say that I am categorically not going to back the manager, or I'm going to stop supporting the team, or I'm not going to go to games, or because of Mikel Arteta specifically. I mean, if you've got a decision you don't want to go to games because of political reasons, principles, if you don't want to go to games because of Kroenke, okay, but fair enough, because you've had lots of experience and time to make that decision. But with Arteta, we don't know anything. We don't know a single thing about what could happen here. And so many people are just being so hyperbolic and overreactive about this. I mean, so much so that people are saying that they're going to stop supporting him and they're not going to back him. And you're a fan. Do your job. Go to the games. Go on social media and back the team. Be critical all you like. And trust me, as a guy who runs a podcast on Arsenal, we sit here and have our fair share of critical analysis of games and teams and players. But we don't slag people off. We don't attack them. We don't insult them. We criticize, and we're analytically critical of players. And we look at certain players and their weaknesses, or coaches and their weaknesses, or we say that maybe it's time for people to move on, or maybe it's time that we made a decision, or a time that we made a change. But for someone that's not even come in yet, to be sitting there going, oh, I can't back this guy, I'm not going to back him, I don't want him. Get a life. Get real. This guy's going to be the head coach of the club that you supposedly love and have loved from a very young age, or maybe even less so if you've only come across Arsenal in a later part of your life. But you're a fan, and fans are supposed to back everything. Back the club, support the team. Yes, be critical, but support them for those 90 minutes. Get behind them and give that little bit extra. Because if you're someone that is coming from the outside looking inwards, say if you are Arteta, say if you are a Nagelsmann, say if you are I don't know, a footballer that could be signing for us in the future, you're going to look and you're going to think, my God, why on earth would I want to go and play for a team that has a fan base that has a high majority of people in that just attack me and that won't give me the time of day, won't give me a chance? They'll watch some videos on YouTube or they'll look at some interviews and they'll make a judgment that will be branded on me for the rest of my time. And that will be it. Or let's say things go slightly well. Your YouTube videos or the articles that you've done look pretty good. So you come into the team, you come into this Arsenal side and you have a decent run of games. 5, 6, you're opening 10 games or opening 10 games that you've coached, seem pretty good. And then you hit a patch, like any human being will, like any natural thing will happen. There might be a dip. Something bad could occur, right? And the difference is that at Arsenal, you will be subjected to abuse. You'll be subjected to hate. You'll be subjected to criticism that goes beyond what is respectful. And that's not fair. It's not fair whatsoever. So, and that's just talking about someone that's even had a good start. But there's people out there criticizing and having a go and having a pop because it's fashionable to have a go at the decision to bring in Arteta before he's even signed on the dotted line. It might not even be done. But I can see tweets continuously and over and over and over again citing this as a problem. And I just can't get over that fact. I see people starting off videos and then bringing up merchandise. Oh, if you want some merchandise, by the way, click the link in the description. Because you know where that link will take you? It will take you to the Arsenal website where you can buy an Arsenal shirt. You know, that thing that you should buy if you're a fan of your club. I mean, I don't understand this atmosphere, this environment that we're in, that this is the way that it works now. We're fans and people are just getting over the idea. Like, there is a celebrity culture. And I'm not going to bring up its name because it's very obvious. But the concept, right? The concept of fans having a voice, be it on a channel, be it on social media, is great, in my opinion. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. Fans should be allowed to voice their opinion and fans should be able to retort that. But what fans shouldn't do is abuse. What fans shouldn't do is be exaggerative and hyperbolic and write things off and criticize beyond the line just to get attention, just to try and earn a few quid or whatever it is. I just don't understand. I'm not going to monetize this video because I'd be hypocritical if I did. I just don't understand why people are willing to undermine their own love of the club that they have had this affection for so many years just for this attention or just to try and be vitriolic. I just don't really get it. Please, in the chat box, what is it that you think is going on at this club? Do you think that players will want to come and play for us? Play for a club that sits in this environment of pure filth and pure misery and just an easy turnaround, and they just get jumped on as soon as they do one or two things wrong. Who's going to want to do that? Let's get some of your comments because I've sort of neglected you a little bit throughout this. Joseph says, Tom, this is why Twitter is so cancerous. Moronic for people not to support the manager. Darwell says, fans are toxic because they've had enough of this mediocrity and broken promises over the years. JH says, what have I missed, Tom? Did something kick off? No, nothing's kicked off. It's just, I'm just putting a word out. I'm just putting my voice and my opinion out on the constant criticism of Arteta and the constant videos I see being put out saying they aren't even going to back the guy because they don't like him or they didn't want him. It's just a joke how you can just act in that way. I come on and say, I categorically really didn't want Ancelotti, right? That's my opinion. I didn't really want Ancelotti to be Arsenal manager. I think that there's a lot of reasons that go to that. I think there's a reason why he's off to Everton instead of a club like Arsenal. I think that says something in itself. I think that he's slightly outdated. It's the same reason why I didn't want Jose Mourinho. Yes, he's won stuff, but there's lots of people that have won stuff. Lots of people. That's the really odd one why I thought the Pochettino thing was a bit odd. I don't think that Pochettino struggled to win trophies because of who he is as a coach. I think he struggled to win trophies because he was at Spurs. That's why I think he struggled to win trophies. So why people then started saying that as a reason not to bring it? And Arsenal aren't even near trophies, right? What Pochettino did at Tottenham Hotspur was improve them and took them up to arguably in line with us in terms of competitiveness. And I mean, they've been in the Champions League these last couple of seasons when we haven't. And I mean, that says it all. And I'm insanely jealous of that fact. But people just jump on it and say, oh, well, he ain't won trophies. He ain't won anything. So why would we want him? And that's similar to Arteta. Oh, well, he's never managed a game in his life. Right. Well, he's one of the highest rated coaches across not just English, but European football. He's been under Pep Guardiola for a hell of a long time. Sane and Sterling and Gabriel Jesus have come out and credited Arteta with improving them as players. When did we last have a player that improved under a coach? Because it's a little bit under Freddie. We've not really seen any improvement of players, and that's unfair on Freddie. I'm not going to criticise him. He's had no time at all. But under Emery, did players improve other than natural progression from the really young guys that are improving? I'm talking about players like Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ozil, Kolasinac, all these guys that are in their mid to late 20s going on to the twilight years of their career. Has any of them improved under Emery? No. Did any players improve towards the end of Arsene Wenger's reign? No, they didn't. And some people would even argue that they didn't improve at all across a lot of or most of his reign, but I personally disagree with that. But towards the end of his reign, did players improve? No. We need a manager. We don't need a manager that's won loads of trophies. We need a manager that's going to get the best out of our players. We need a manager or a coach that's going to come in and improve things, that knows the club, knows the league, knows the system, is going to be ruthless. And I heard people saying, oh, well, the players didn't really like Arteta. The players didn't like him. They thought he was arrogant. They thought that he rubbed people up the wrong way. Bloody good. Good that he rubbed them up the wrong way. Good that they don't like him, because he's not there to be their friend. He's not there to be someone that could be a shoulder to cry on. He's there to coach them. He's there to be the boss. He's there to be someone who's going to do something about this team and change it. I don't want a pencil pusher. I want someone that's going to come in that knows what he wants and delivers. And another thing is if Arteta eventually does sign on the dotted line, I'm so concerned that looking to the future, he won't be given the time by the fans. He won't be given the time. Because as soon as I said earlier on in the show, that if things start going wrong, if things start going a little bit astray, do you trust the fan base to give him the time, to give him that little bit extra? Because I can reel off a load of Twitter people I know that would be criticising him immediately. And that's why I don't follow them. So that's that. Rodney says, this is my main concern about Arteta coming in. Not even that he's unexperienced, but the fact people won't be willing to be patient with Mikel. And that's a fair enough, Rodney. That is completely fair enough in terms of a criticism. It's not a criticism of Mikel. It's a criticism, and a quite right one, that you're concerned that people as a fan base aren't going to give him time to flourish. You look at so many players that have not been allowed time at Arsenal and have gone on to do really good things. You look at Serge Gnabry, right? How many people turned around and said he wasn't good enough for Arsenal? How many people watched him in a wrong system at West Brom and said he weren't good enough? He couldn't get into a Tony Pulis team. Well, look at the kid now. Look what he's doing. Look at what he's doing in a system that works. Look what he's doing under a coach that knows how to get the best out of him. Or a system, rather. I mean, the coach, that was a bad example. But the player himself has developed wholeheartedly at Bayern and done really, really well. There's other players that have left, not just Arsenal, but other teams, and have gone on to flourish because they weren't given time. You look at Salah and KDB at Chelsea, players that just weren't given the time of day, right? We just seem to criticise them. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I've gone on record and been critical of the likes of Nketiah and Willock. And I've said, and I still partly do believe it now, that I struggle to see how they might get a long-term future at Arsenal from what I've seen. But I'm not attacking the guys. I'm not saying they need to be sold. I'm not saying they should leave now. I can't wait for the kids to go out and prove me wrong. And I pray to God that they do. But it's just this fashionable thing to just criticize players and coaches, some before they've even signed. And that's where I sit on it. Matt Hales says, Arteta couldn't rub, oh God, let alone rub someone up the wrong way. He's a yes man and has the personality of a slug. Wow. See, Matt Hales there displays everything that I see as wrong is that, Matt, you don't know anything about Arteta. And I'll talk to you directly because that's fair enough. You don't know anything about Arteta if you think that he's a yes man, because you don't know what he's done. You don't know anything about the guy. You don't know what he would do at Arsenal. You don't know if he'd be the mouthpiece. I mean, there's reports coming out today that he's still thinking about it, that he's still considering remaining at City because he thinks that possibly possibly there could be a situation where Pep leaves and he could inherit that Manchester City role. And who can blame the guy? Who can blame the guy for doing that? So to say that he's a yes man is so far wide of the mark and so wrong and so premature that it's hardly worth even mentioning. Jack Anthony says that Arteta is going to do a job. B-Face says, how are we sure Arteta won't be like Wenger's first 10 years? He may end up being one of those best coaches in the world, just like Mourinho and Pep broke into the scene. He may fall, but we just don't know yet. Thank you, B-Face, for just laying it out flat, laying it out exactly how it is, because that is it. We don't know. We have no clue how this could turn out, because until it happens, we just don't. And even the people that I personally didn't want, Mourinho, Ancelotti, had they have come in, you can look at past games, you can look at the experience, you can look at all of that, and maybe you could put together a picture in your mind and make a more precise prediction. But you don't know exactly what would happen. Mourinho could come in and fail. Ancelotti could have come in and failed. Pep Guardiola could have come in and could have failed. We simply don't know. So don't bash the guy until we actually have some form of evidence to know what is happening. Joron says, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, mate. I really apologise. Van der Cap, let's say Carp, maybe. Not only could he replace Pep, going to Arsenal could very well be a risk for Arteta as well. And he's right, it could be. Lack of board support, players, fans, he could dent his own career. It is a huge risk. It is a massive risk for Mikel Arteta to take this job. A huge risk. It is to enter your first managerial prospect or head coaching prospect at a club that is in the decline, with a huge player issue of massive egos and characters, and some of them that don't or shouldn't be there. And then there's the fans. There's a high proportion of fans that, and I'm only saying high proportion because it's what I see on social media. But I mean, if you go off the general election, social media in terms of proportions mean nothing. But there's a high proportion of fans from what I see that wouldn't give him the time of day. And let's be honest, let's be down to the ground. I remember the days when we used to say, well, these guys need to be mentally strong. These guys should be ignoring all of the hate. Well, we know that's not true. We know that that's not true because we can see that Mesut Ozil and Granit Xhaka are visibly affected by this. We look at players, at people having a go at players for not acknowledging a mascot, so that players are then forced to put out a picture saying that they were with this kid in the changing rooms. That's the stage that it's got to, is that we're isolating 6-second videos. And I've already done a rant on that on Twitter about this, but we've already isolated 6-second videos. And from 6 seconds of video, we're able to build up a huge opinion and personal profile of these players from 6 seconds of without any context, and brand them in this inconsiderate way. And it's just not true. It's just not true. It's just wrong, as Ed Miliband would say. It's just wrong. But what we need to do, because I can sit here and I can rant and rave for so long and just keep going on and on and on, that we need to turn this around, because ultimately I know that nothing I do, nothing that if anyone, nothing that even the likes of Arsblog, if the other guys and the biggest profiles put out a what's the word I'm looking for? A message to just say that let's get behind the people that matter. Let's get behind the team. Let's support them. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, because that's just how society is under our club, and it's horrible. It's really, really horrible. And I hate. I've got to the stage where I dislike partly being an Arsenal fan, because when I first got into this scene, obviously, for those that don't know, started off on podcasts on Burkout Wonderland, and then broke away from that, and then went on to appearing with Craig on the Gooner Talk and other shows, and then eventually taking the reins from Craig. During the time where I was at Burkout Wonderland and starting my life helping Craig out on the channel, it was a really tumultuous time because of Arsene Wenger and the situation with that, and there was a big split in the fan base, and there was that abuse there. But I still don't feel that there was as much of this noise as there was 5, 6, 7 years ago. 5, 6, yeah, 7. Wow, I started uni in what, 2014? Oh my god, I'm so old. Sorry for those that are actually older than me saying that. I know that will annoy people, but it's so frustrating to see how much this has grown, and this tumor that is Arsenal's abusive side of their social media has grown into something which we cannot escape from anymore, something that we just have to live with and that we just have to accept is going to be there. But ultimately, it doesn't stop plenty of you, including myself, from being positive. It doesn't stop plenty of you going out there and getting behind the team, going to games, staying for the whole game. If you can get to games, go to the games. If you can fill that stadium out, do it. Get behind those players. I'm going to go to the Chelsea game, fingers crossed, going to see Mike, and I'm going to stay to the end, the very, very end. No matter if we're 10-0 down, I will be there until the final minute, because I will get behind that team. Doesn't matter to me about getting home a little bit earlier, or getting to the pub a little bit earlier. I'm going to back my team. I'm going to stick by them, and I'm going to do everything that I can in that ground to get behind them. And if I'm told to sit down by the person behind me, I'm going to tell them to do one, because that's what you need to do as a fan, is that you need to be there and you need to be getting behind them. And if you can't get there, then put those positive vibes out on Twitter. Put those positive feelings out at the start of the game, saying that you are supporting the guys. Go tweet Xhaka. Go tweet Ozil and say that they have got your support for the next game, because you may not like them. You may not even want them to be there, but you have no control over that. So whilst they are here, why don't we get behind them? And ultimately, whoever the next head coach is, why don't we get behind them? Why don't we turn around and say that, hey, this could be special? It might not be. It might be a catastrophic failure. And I'm never going to tell you that might not happen or that isn't going to happen, because it could. It could happen. But at the same time, we need to understand that we are arguably the most important people in terms of a football club, because without us, there is no club. And that we have some power, and that is our voices. And we cannot take that for granted. And you have to understand that your voices are heard and your thoughts are heard, and you should be putting them in the right way, in the right direction, not giving abuse. Because if you're going to put yourself in the situation of that player on that pitch, are you really going to play for a team that's spouting abuse at you, booing you, all this? Are you really going to want to do that? Because I don't think you are. I don't think I would. Because you got to think that these guys, most of them aren't fans of Arsenal. They are employees, they are playing staff, and you cannot put yourself in their shoes, because they don't have the same attachment to the club that you do. So you can't be surprised if they are affected, or they do want to leave, or they don't want to play as well. But to make them play better, there is one thing that we can do that hopefully has some form of psychological effect, and that is to get behind them. Whether or not that happens, I'm pretty darn sure it's not going to improve too much. But there's my 24 minutes or so of rant over. As I said, please, we have merch now. Come get some merch, because we've got some in the description. And it will take you to the Arsenal website, where you can go and buy the merchandise you should be buying, not some channel's merchandise, trying to give them money. Like, be a fan. Go buy some merchandise. Go buy some shirts. I mean, you might want, and if you don't want to do that because you don't want to give Kroenke money, fair enough. That's your opinion and you're entitled to it. But if you are going to buy some merchandise, go and buy some from the club you support, not the channel you support. Who supports the channel? Speaking of supporting the channel, please drop the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and turn those notifications on. Thank you ever so much for everyone who sat around and listened to me moan for about 25 minutes. I hope you've appreciated it. I will see you again very soon, probably for another rant. If this hasn't got any better, who knows? But as always, up the Arsenal.